Good morning. Welcome to Alberta Preppers episode here. I wanted to thank you all for watching. I was up very late last night, and when I say late, it was 2 in the morning when I finally got to bed. And I was watching the election. Truthfully, I didn't want to, but I was kind of curious. And then it was fun jumping from station to station, YouTube channel to YouTube channel, kind of trying to see what everyone was saying. And the great takeaway I had from it was that all the rhetoric that those newscasters were saying for the longest time all started to disappear once they realized that Trump was actually going to win. And they became conciliatory, which wasn't how they acted after the 2016 election, where his being elected was a surprise. But I think it all has to do with the fact that he also won the popular vote on top of the electoral vote. Now, I want to congratulate him, and I think that's wonderful. To me, it's neither good nor bad. It's better than Harris. But as I have said in other venues, that there's a class out there called the WeBees, and those are the people that Trump will have to deal with. And the question is he capable of keeping focused on those WeBees? The fact is that those people, the WeBees, the WeBe here before you and WeBe here after you group, is the greatest danger to any country. Doesn't matter what kind of country it is. It's the technocrats, it's the donor class, it's the corporate class, it's the activist class. All those classes work together, not as a tight cabal, but a lot of their interests overlap each other. And thus, they can become quite dangerous because they have the money, the time, and the people to cause issues. I'm not talking riots and all that kind of stuff. I mean, what you saw from 2016, 1,000 times that. They have ways of basically obfuscating from the political groups and from office holders what they're doing in the background, because government is so large and so vast in numbers of people and in different administrative areas, and say the medical field, right? Here in Alberta, we have our government run medical. Well, people go, well, the government runs it. And it's like, they guide, but they don't run. So they don't know what's happening actually at each hospital. They don't know what's happening with each doctor, what's happening with each nurse, what's even happening with each janitor. So at any point in time, any of those groups can be doing something that's completely wrong or completely against what the main government wanted. And there's no way for them to know, because the only people who report what's going on are those who are actually in those facilities. Same thing for defense. Same thing for the Secret Service, FBI, CIA, RCMP, CSIS, NSA. You never know when there's a rogue element inside that department that isn't trying to countermand the will of the people. And there's no way to actually stop them unless you focus on those situations. But again, like I said, the government is so vast and it grows on itself to make itself even more vast to cover up even more issues inside of it. Like, they always talk about plausible deniability for the leaders. Everyone goes, well, that should be normal. You don't want your president or your prime minister to kind of go, yeah, we knew that they were going to assassinate that person, or they're going to start a revolution in this country or that country or this and that. Oh no, they didn't know that it was happening. That plausible deniability is the camel's nose in the door. The fact is that those are the situations that make me realize that there's no one keeping an eye on these rogue agencies. No one's keeping an eye on any agency. Heck, down in the States when I lived there, they used to talk about the DMV all the time. And I remember my parents standing in a lineup for hours waiting to get their driver's license so they could drive in California. I can go into any registry here that's private, because our registries are all private, and get a driver's license in 5 minutes, or register a car in 10, or register for a marriage in 2, because registries here in Alberta are private entities. Now, they give the information to the government, of course, but they're the ones who control it. So there's never these massive lineups. So when you think of the DMV, think of that, but put it into your Homeland Security. Same situations happening. Things that you think are supposed to happen aren't happening. Things that you're told by politicians, oh, we have this new bill, or this new this, or this or that. It's not happening. Or even worse, if you go back to the Patriot Act. Now, that was a several thousand page act that was brought up right after 9/11. It was fully fleshed out, understood, all the powers were in there, how they were going to integrate the FBI, the CIA, the Secret Service, the Border Patrol, the military, all that was all put into it in a couple of months. And people never even thought twice about that kind of stuff. But here's the point. The people who actually wrote those bills for the Patriot Act were those entities. Were the donor class, were the activist class, were the WeBees in the government. They had already written those laws. They just needed an event to happen so that they could bring in that law and take away your freedoms. And every time a situation like this happens, a little more of your freedom goes away. The banking crash in 2007, 8, and 9 changed your banking completely. They did what was called the bailout of the top banks and saying that they were too big to fail. And but everyone goes, oh, but they realized that that was a bad idea and stuff like. No, they did it on purpose. They did that bailout on purpose. First off, to protect their friends in the donor class, but second of all, to bring in new legislation that the donor class, the banks, wanted. The ability to take your money and use it any way they wanted. So when you put money into a bank, it's no longer yours, it's theirs, and they get to do it. So if their bank gets into trouble, instead of going to the government and saying, hey, we need money, they just go to their depositors and say, whoop, that's mine now. And you have no way to say anything about it because there's a law now. It was famously used in Greece during that time of 2008, 2009, 2010, where they had the austerity provisions and they literally trimmed people's bank accounts by 10 to 30%. Can you think of that? You have a certain amount of money in your bank account to pay for your mortgage for that month. And you're like, oh, I have X amount of money in there. I know it's in there. I don't have to worry about it for this month. It's good. Gone. 30% of that. Now you got to find 30% to cover that loss that you just had because the bank decided that it needed the money more than you did. These are the kinds of things that, people always go, well, this person or this person will fix it. No, not unless they're willing to do the things that are hard. And the hardest thing in the world is not to be liked. When you're a politician, your whole persona is about being liked by the people, being liked by the political class, being liked by the media, being liked by those in government. But to be a real leader and to control the situation for the best interest of the population, you have to be willing to be completely hated. And as much as Trump has been hated and willing to take a lot of slings and arrows, he's also been willing to try and make friends. And the fact is that those WeBees, donor classes, activists, the civil service, they're not there to be your friend. They're there because they have something that they want in their life that benefits them. And if you get in the way, they will stomp you like a grape. And unless Trump is willing to take that stomping to protect the rest of the American citizens, not much is going to change. It'll change here and there, little bits here, there. But ultimately, when he's gone, in 4 years, what will have changed? You need to ask yourself the question, what is it that you want and how do you want to do it? Do you start working again? Do you start a company? Do you buy properties? Do you invest in stuff? Do you do things for your family and yourself that you wouldn't have done before? Everything needs to be reset. And the fact is that I'm not sure that anyone can do it. I don't think that Trump will be able to make the changes that we really, really need because the Webee class and the donor class and the activist classes and the civil servant classes are about to join together to create an issue that he may not want to fight. He may be mad, he may be willing to do a few things, but in the end, will he be able to do it? I pray he does. It would be nice. It'd be a beacon on the hill again, in the hopes that maybe the rest of the West, maybe even in the East, people can fight again to get rid of those technocracies, to get rid of the bureaucrats, civil servants, the donor class, the activists, the media, who are trying their best to keep us poor out of the situation and out of our governments. But I have little faith that he has picked the right people in his cabinets, and I'm not sure that he has the focus to be able to do it in the long term and in the short term. But I pray he does, because I sure as hell know that Harris didn't have any interest in doing that. In fact, was the exact opposite, and was more than willing to sell out the citizenry for the Webee class. I better prep her out.